Welcome back to my channel. In today's session, we'll be learning about the fundamental unit of life. As we all know that the living organisms are composed of cells. Therefore, in this chapter, we'll be learning about the cell, which is the fundamental unit of life. The contents to be covered in the chapter are discovery of the cell, types of cells, essential parts of the cell that include plasma membrane, cell wall, nucleus, and the cytoplasm. Processes occurring within the cell that include diffusion, osmosis, and plasmolysis. Types of solutions that are isotonic solution, hypotonic solution, and hypertonic solution. Structure and functions of various cell organelles that include endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, mitochondria, vacuoles, and plastids. The cell was discovered in the year 1665 by a scientist known as Robert Hooke. He observed a thin section of cork cells under his cell-designed microscope. Cork is the bark of a tree. He could see tiny, empty structures, and they were in the form of a honeycomb structure. As the bark cells are dead, therefore, there was literally nothing inside these structures. And in Latin word, a tiny room is called a cell. Therefore, he named these tiny compartments or these tiny spaces as cells. A cell is known as the structural and functional unit of life. It is because all the living organisms are made up of cells. The entire structure of the organisms are composed of cells. So, we can say that cell is the structural unit of life. And every organism performs functions like circulation, digestion, excretion, so many functions in the body. And these functions are because the cells are able to perform so many functions. The cells aggregate together to form tissues and organ systems, and that is how all the functions are being performed in the body. Therefore, we can say that cell is also the functional unit of life. Therefore, cell can be defined as the structural and functional unit of life. Now let's take a look at a plant cell that is onion peel cells and an animal cell that is human cheek cells. We can observe certain similarities between these two types of cells. The outermost covering in onion peel cells is a cell wall, whereas the outermost covering in human cheek cells is a cell membrane. The onion peel cells also contains a cell membrane. There is a fluid-like structure enclosed within the plasma membrane in both the cases, that is called the cytoplasm. A dotted structure is present in both the cases which is embedded in the cytoplasm called the nucleus. Organisms can be of two types on the basis of the number of cells. The first one is unicellular organisms. These organisms are composed of a single cell. That single cell has to perform all the activities in the organism like digestion, circulation, excretion, etc. The next group is multicellular organisms. These organisms are composed of multiple number of cells that may range from millions to billions of cells. So in multicellular organisms, we see division of labor because a group of cells are aggregated together and are assigned a specific task. In this way, various groups of cells are performing different tasks. So, multicellular organisms show division of labor. Now let's take a look at some unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. All the cells have various shapes and sizes, depending on the functions they need to perform. For example, muscle cell is spindle-shaped, so that it can easily contract and relax to bring about movement in the body. The red blood cells are biconcave in shape, so that they can move easily through the capillaries. The WBC are amoeboid in shape, or they do not have a fixed shape like the amoeba. They change their shape continuously so that they can easily squeeze themselves through the capillaries, which are very thin vessels. The nerve cells are very long because they need to transmit the messages from the brain to the body parts and from the body parts back to the brain. And the messages need to be transmitted really fast. Therefore, these nerves are, or the nerve cells are very long. The sperms are motile, that is, they can move because they have a tail. What about the ovum? The ovum is large. It is spherical in shape and it does not have any tail for movement because they are immobile. They need to be in a particular place. The essential parts of the cell are the cell membrane or the plasma membrane, the nucleus and the cytoplasm. The plasma membrane is a living membrane. It is the outermost covering in an animal cell. It is also present in plant cells. But in plant cells, the plasma membrane is followed by an additional layer called the cell wall. The plasma membrane is semi-permeable in nature. That is, it selectively allows certain substances to enter the cell and certain substances to exit out of the cell. It separates the cell contents from the external medium. It also separates the contents of a cell from the contents of other cells. So, the functions of the plasma membrane are: it selectively allows substances to enter and exit out of the cell. It separates the cell contents from the external medium. It also provides shape and support to an animal cell. Cell wall is present only in plant cells and bacterial cells. It is composed of cellulose. It is a non-living layer. It provides shape, rigidity, and support to plant cells. Nucleus is a spherical structure somewhat present at the center of the cell. It is present in every cell. The nucleus contains a membrane known as the nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane contains pores on its surface called as the nuclear pores. Through these pores, the substances enter and leave the nucleus. The nucleus contains thread-like structures called the chromatin fibers. During cell division, these chromatin fibers condense together to form rod-shaped structures called the chromosomes. The chromosomes contain genes. Genes are the units of heredity. That is, they are responsible for transmission of characters from the parents to the offsprings. It is because of these genes that we possess certain characteristics like our parents. It is because of these genes that we look somewhat like our parents. There are certain organisms that have a well-defined nucleus. They are called eukaryotic organisms. But there are some organisms whose nucleus is not well defined. They are having a very primitive nucleus. The chromosomes are all scattered, and that is called a nucleoid. These type of organisms are called prokaryotic organisms. The next essential part down the line is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a fluid-like structure that is present between the plasma membrane and the nuclear membrane. It consists of certain bodies called the cell organelles. In eukaryotic organisms, the cell organelles are all membrane bound. But in prokaryotic organisms, they lack membranes. All the chemical reactions take place in the cytoplasm. Let's take a look at the differences between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. In case of a prokaryotic cell, the nucleus is not well defined and it is known as a nucleoid. But in case of a eukaryotic cell, the nucleus is well defined. In case of prokaryotic cell, the nuclear membrane is absent, whereas it is present in case of a eukaryotic cell. Only one chromosome is present in prokaryotic cell, whereas more than one chromosome is present in eukaryotic cells. Membrane-bound cell organelles are absent in prokaryotic cells, whereas membrane-bound cell organelles are present in eukaryotic cells. The cell size ranges from 0.5 to 100 micrometer in prokaryotic cells, and the cell size ranges from 10 to 150 micrometers in eukaryotic cells. Diffusion is the movement of substances from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. It takes place in solids, liquids, and gases. Diffusion of gases takes place in plants. Carbon dioxide is present at a higher concentration in the atmosphere, and carbon dioxide is present at a lower concentration inside the plant. So carbon dioxide moves from the atmosphere into the plant through the stomata. In the same way, oxygen amount is at higher concentration inside the plant and it is at lower concentration out of the plant. So it diffuses out of the plant. Diffusion also takes place in liquids. For example, sugar is mixed with water. If we consider the red dots as sugar molecules and the blue liquid as water, then sugar moves from its higher concentration and is evenly distributed in the water to form sugar solution. This occurs by the process of diffusion. In this picture, you can see when a drop of ink is dropped into water, it moves from the higher concentration and is evenly distributed throughout the water to make it completely blue. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from the region of high water concentration to the region of low water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. It takes place in liquids. As you can see in the picture, a semi-permeable membrane separates the two parts of a beaker. When sugar is added to water, on one side, on the left-hand side, we can see that there's a high water concentration compared to the right-hand side. So water moves from the left-hand side to the right-hand side through the semi-permeable membrane, and this is known as osmosis. This picture also shows somewhat the same thing. Osmosis is seen in plants. By osmosis, water moves from the soil into the plant through the roots. As there is a high water concentration in the soil, water moves from the soil into the plant which has a low water concentration. Now we are going to discuss about the type of solutions. The solution in which the concentration of the cell is equal to the concentration of the medium is called an isotonic solution. In this solution, the cell remains of the same size. I hope you all can see the red blood cells. So the concentration of the red blood cell is same or it's similar to the concentration of the medium. So the water coming into the cell is equal to the water going out of the cell. Therefore, the cells remain as it is. This is called an isotonic solution. The solution in which the concentration of the cell is lower than the concentration of the medium is called a hypertonic solution. In this case, the cell shrinks in size. Now, you all must understand that if the concentration of the cell is lower, that means it has a high water concentration. And the concentration of the medium is higher, it means it has a low water concentration. So, you all know that water always moves from high water concentration to low water concentration. So, water moves from the cell to the medium. Therefore, the cells shrink in size.
The solution in which the concentration of the cell is higher than the concentration of the medium is called a hypotonic solution. The cell swells in this case. Okay, so in this picture you can see that the RBCs have swelled. It is because the concentration of the cell is higher. Now you all must have the concept of concentration very clear in your mind. The concentration of the cell is high than the concentration of the medium. It means the solute concentration of the cell is high. So there is a low water concentration in the cell. And the concentration of the medium is low. That means it has a low solute concentration, but it has a high water concentration. So as the water concentration is high in the medium, the water moves from the medium into the cell, and hence the cell swells in size. Plasmolysis is the shrinkage of protoplasm from the cell wall. It occurs in plant cells only. As you can see in the picture, when a plant cell is placed in a hypertonic solution, the cell loses water, hence it shrinks in size, leaving behind a cell wall. This phenomenon is called plasmolysis.
There are various types of cell organelles present in the cell. These cell organelles perform very crucial functions. They are membrane bound in order to perform specifically. The cell organelles include endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, mitochondria, vacuoles, and plastids. We'll discuss about the cell organelles in detail. The first one is endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is a large network of tubes and sheaths. The endoplasmic reticulum is attached to the nuclear membrane. It is also known as the transport channel of the cell because it transports substances from the nucleus to the cytoplasm and from the cytoplasm to the nucleus. It also transports substances to different sites of the cytoplasm. Endoplasmic reticulum is of two types, rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum is called rough because of the presence of ribosomes on its surface. Ribosomes are the sites of protein manufacture. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum do not contain ribosomes, therefore they are termed as smooth. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum produces lipids. Rough endoplasmic reticulum is also responsible for the production of hydrolytic enzymes. We'll discuss about these enzymes in the later part of the chapter. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum helps in detoxification of poisons in the liver cells. So, there are basically two functions of rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum produces proteins. They also produce hydrolytic enzymes. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum produces lipids. They also help in the detoxification of poisons in the liver cells. As proteins and lipids are produced in the endoplasmic reticulum, they help in the formation of the cell membrane, which is also known as membrane biogenesis. So, endoplasmic reticulum has two major functions, that is, it transports the materials from the nucleus to the cytoplasm, and from the cytoplasm back to the nucleus. It also transports materials to different sites of the cytoplasm, and it helps in membrane biogenesis. The next cell organelle that we are going to discuss about is Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus is a network of tubes called cisterns. The Golgi apparatus is responsible for packaging and modification of substances. It helps in the production of complex sugars from the simple sugars. It packages and modifies the substances and transports it to various parts of the cell. It also helps in the formation of lysosomes. So, there are two important functions of the Golgi apparatus. One is it packages and modifies the substances. Secondly, it also produces lysosomes. The next cell organelle is lysosomes. Lysosomes are a bag of hydrolytic enzymes or the digestive enzymes. Lysosomes act as a scavenger of the cell. It helps in cleaning up the cell. It digests the worn out organelles, the foreign particles, the unwanted debris from the cell. When the cellular metabolism is disrupted or when the cell is damaged, the lysosomes burst and release its hydrolytic enzymes, thereby digesting the entire cell. So, it is also known as the suicidal bags of the cell. The next organelle is the mitochondria. Mitochondria is a double-layered structure. The outer layer is continuous and porous. The inner layer is deeply folded, and they are known as cristae. The function of the mitochondria is to produce energy in the form of ATP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. ATP is also known as the energy currency of the cell. The inner layer is deeply folded so as to increase the surface area for the production of energy. The mitochondria has its own DNA and ribosomes. So, they can produce their own proteins. Therefore, the mitochondria are semi-autonomous organelles. The next cell organelle that we are going to discuss about are the plastids. Plastids are present only in plant cells. Plastids are of two types, which include the chromoplasts or the colored plastids and the leucoplasts or the colorless plastids. The green-colored plastid is a chloroplast. The chloroplast plays a very essential role during photosynthesis. It traps the solar energy and converts it into chemical energy. The chloroplast contains a stack of coin-like structures called thylakoids. The thylakoids are present in a fluid-like structure called the stroma. Apart from the chloroplast, there are various other pigments present in plants. They give color to various fruits and flowers. They are called the chromoplasts. They may be yellow or orange or violet or blue or red. So they give color to fruits and the flowers. So they also come in the category of chromoplasts. Leucoplasts are the colorless plastids. They help in the storage of proteins, fats, and starch. Plastids also contain their own DNA and ribosomes, so they can produce their own proteins. Therefore, they are also semi-autonomous organelles. The next cell organelle is the vacuoles. Vacuoles are responsible for storing of solid or liquid contents in the cell. They help in the storage of sugars, amino acids, various organic acids, and proteins in the cell. In plant cells, there are bigger vacuoles than in animal cells. The central vacuole in the plant cell occupies 50 to 90% of the cell volume. In amoeba, food vacuole is present, which stores food. In some unicellular organisms, the vacuoles are responsible for expelling out the excess water and wastes from the body. Let's do a very quick revision of the structure and the function of various cell organelles, because this is a very important part of the chapter. The first one is endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is a network of tubes and sheaths which are attached to the nuclear membrane. It acts as the transport channel of the cell. It helps in transporting materials between the nucleus and the cytoplasm and to different sites of the cytoplasm. It also helps in membrane formation or membrane biogenesis. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum, that is a rough and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum contains ribosomes, whereas smooth endoplasmic reticulum do not contain ribosomes. Rough endoplasmic reticulum produces proteins and hydrolytic enzymes, whereas smooth endoplasmic reticulum produces lipids and it helps in detoxification of poisons in the liver cells. The next cell organelle are the Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus is a network of tubes called the cisterns. They help in modification and packaging of substances. They also help in production of simple sugars to complex sugars. They also produce the lysosomes. They transport the packaged and modified substances to different target sites in the cytoplasm. The next cell organelle is mitochondria. Mitochondria is responsible for energy production in the form of ATP. ATP is known as the energy currency of the cell. The mitochondria is a double-layered structure. The inner layer is deeply folded and is called cristae to increase the surface area for the production of energy. And it is a semi-autonomous organelle because it has its own DNA and ribosomes to produce proteins. Then, lysosomes are a bag of hydrolytic enzymes or the digestive enzymes. They help in cleaning up the cell. They digest the unwanted particles, the worn-off organelles, and the foreign particles from the cell. During any unwanted situation, when the cell is damaged, the lysosomes burst open and release the hydrolytic enzymes, thereby digesting the entire cell. So it is also known as the suicidal bag of the cell. The next cell organelle are plastids. Plastids are present only in plant cells. And they are of two types, that is the chromoplast and the leucoplast. Chromoplasts are the colored plastids and leucoplasts are the colorless plastids. Chromoplasts include the chloroplast, which is a green colored plastid, which plays a very essential role during photosynthesis. In addition to chloroplasts, there are various other colored plastids like yellow, orange, red, blue, violet, etc., which gives color to the fruits and flowers of the plants. Leucoplast helps in the storage of proteins, fats, and starch. The next organelle is that of the vacuole. Vacuole helps in the storage of sugars, amino acids, various organic acids, and proteins.
Thank you for watching. If you like the video, do press the like button, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any queries, do let me know in the comment section below. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.